Every night when I get home from Evil Court feels like the same thing when I wake up in the morning. I tell myself I'm not going to go to the gym because I want to sleep more because I'm tired. The same thing happens when I get home from work. I'm tired. Every day is the worst day of my life since I started working. I took that from the comments from the video that I made earlier because I actually made that video this morning and I wasn't planning on doing a second video. But something happened between 8 and 5 that forces me to feel like I absolutely need to do something that makes me feel like a human being again. Because today was not a different day at Evil Corp, but just another day of emergencies, disasters, and a corporation that just won't spend the money in order to have a proper technology department because they just don't want to. It's not like they can't afford to. It's just that they don't want to. And today, while I was talking to one of my coworkers who said these people not spending money and investing in their own safety net because they are a technology company and they don't want to spend in that area because they don't see the point. And I thought to myself, this guy has said so many raw truths in here that I was blown away. In fact, one of those truths I'm not even going to say because it might be too controversial for this platform. But if I had a Patreon, I would make several videos on that conversation. But you guys know I have to keep it uh, G on this channel, or the algorithm will find you, whip you, punch you, kick you in the nads, and do everything it can in order to suppress you. Because that's what it does. This is a entertainment platform. So I come here to make you guys laugh, to make you cry, to make you feel something. But at the end of the day, the proletariat isn't okay. And I think we are beginning to notice that more and more as our society progresses towards a version in which it is going to recycle itself because at some point there's anarchy, at some point there's communism, at some point we decide that we want to be democratic and then use capitalism as our system of running business. But it all falls apart and then regenerates itself. I mean, the human race has been around the way that it is for about 50,000 years. And as a species, Homo sapien has been around for, I believe, 250,000 years. But during the time that we were around, there was other things around too that were like us that just were an evolutionary dead end. Like I think Homo erectus, Homo african, I can never say that, Homo floresiensis, and who else? Neanderthal. We were all around at the same time, but our species is the only one. Homo sapien has been around like us, evolving, of course, for the last 50,000 years. I mean, if you believe that stuff, sometimes the timelines for things just don't match up, like the building of the pyramids and all of those great human structures that people claim that we couldn't have built without aliens. Well, it's hard to buy into that because I have a degree in archaeology and I don't buy into some of these dates or the theories of how human beings did things because humans are, let's face it, we're strange. We're a very, very strange species. When we look at a goldfish, we don't ask ourselves if that goldfish is having deep philosophical thoughts. In fact, today, while I was driving home from work, I asked Google. It's like, are animals sentient? Like, are they aware that their lives are going to be very short and end very quickly? Like hummingbirds have one of the highest heart rates in the world, but they don't live very long. And then you have things like Galapagos tortoises that live for a really, really long time. And of course, I mean, can you imagine if you were sentient and you were inside of a tortoise? I mean, what would you think about all day? Getting it on with Susie? I mean, the human species is complicated yet not complicated at the same time. And this is something that I've noticed and I've talked about a few times in the past week is how much we're constantly looking around ourselves to kind of give us feedback on how we're doing, how you're doing, how overall I feel about the way that I'm doing. Because every day that I go to my loser job, I feel like I'm not doing as well as my neighbor, or even as well as Susie Rottencrotch, who seems to be running a business behind the Taco Bell where she's all right, you know. She's not hurting for cash. She might be a single mom, but she's getting all the love she needs. She has enough money. She can spend her free time hanging out behind the Taco Bell waiting for Johnny Sixpack to get out of his factory job so he can come over and give her the love that she needs. But at the same time, this is conflicted because I think of how many in the closet Susies there are, right? How many Susie Rottencrotches are in the closet pretending that they're not Susie Rottencrotch? And that's exactly how I felt as I was walking out of the gym this afternoon, because there was a girl that was semi attractive, right? And I was on the treadmill and I was, doing my cardio, my afternoon cardio to try to alleviate some of the gas that I get from eating bad food at lunch. And I turned my head and I noticed her. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Millennial Steam sober wouldn't go near that Susie. Millennial Steam after 12 Pearl beers would be all over it, because I know how much my standards drop the second I consume one bottle of unholy juice into my system. It changes my brain completely. The desperation for a more perfect mate goes away. It's all about raw, hot, monkey love. That's what I'm gonna call it. Just like every other Johnny Sixpack. As soon as we go out to the bar, we put on our Pearl beer goggles, and every girl under a rating of 1 to 5, suddenly becomes a supermodel. That's just the way we are. But with that said, let's exit out of the monologue, and I'll give you guys a brief outline of my topics for today. The illusion of connection in modern society, the need for nature, freedom versus routine, and suppressed creativity. I hope I get to spend a lot of time on suppressed creativity, because that's why I'm here right now. There is no creativity in my 8 to 5 job. It's just strictly corporate, it's strictly technology, and all day it's fixing problems caused by other people from, let's face it, work neglect. If you were doing your job, there wouldn't be problems at work. Or maybe there would be, but less of them. So let's get into talking point number 1. Despite constant communication, people are more disconnected than ever. We look at our Facebook, we look at our Instagram, we look at our Snapchat, we look at our Facebook. But at the end of the day, we are definitely more disconnected than I have ever felt in my entire life. Most days, I do not have a meaningful conversation with another human being, at least not in person. There's not a single person that I see every day other than Gen Z annoying the living hell out of me because he doesn't think society's fair. And I like looking at him like, sorry, man, you're in that $15 to $20 bracket. You're going to stay there for the rest of your life, because there are no senior level positions that are going to open up. And today, as we were visited by a senior level employee who said the exact same thing to him, I could see Gen Z being more demoralized in real time. But that's just the truth. The chances of you meeting Susie Homemaker in your lifetime are about as good as you winning the lottery ticket. And every time that you go to your local bar and you get loaded up and you think you've met the one, she's just another Susie Rottencrotch. Unfortunately, Susie Homemaker doesn't hang out at the bars where Johnny Sixpack can get a hold of the goods. She just doesn't. That's just not her scene. But as disconnected human beings, we have this innate thought that we deserve to be connected to another human being, physically, spiritually. I don't know what other way. When Susie gives you the crotch crispies because you couldn't stand being alone, That's when you realize that you've made a very poor decisions because some gifts never go away. And you knew that the Crotch Krispies were part of going to that place, getting watching pro sports, drinking pro beer, and getting in your pro car, and then getting into the back seat of your pro car with a person that may not have the highest level of morals, probably the morals of an alley cat. But you knew that going into it. Talking point number two: modern life keeps us confined in artificial environments. Have you ever stopped and thought to yourself at work how ridiculous the wage cage is? You look around at it and there's nothing there that's designed to keep you happy, keep you satisfied. There's nothing there but bread and water. And you look like, sometimes I'll look around at my office and I'll look at my computer, which has an invisible chain to my ankle so I can't wander too far away from it, and it constantly needs my attention. And you think, whoever thought of the modern work environment was a sadist, because this isn't normal. We shouldn't sit in little tiny cells all day pushing buttons like giant rats for the benefit of Evil Corp. And yet that's what the modern office place looks like. On top of that, you have the stress, you have your boss, you have your coworkers that are just other rats. Sometimes when I'm walking through the office and I look at the other rats, I think, oh my God, that person's actually starting to look like a rat. And to further make my point, if you guys have ever seen the cartoon version of 1984, at the end of the movie, they have the animals that are looking inside at the pigs. That's what I imagine the corporate office looks like. When you look in the windows, you're seeing that scene from Animal Farm. Pigs wearing top hats, pigs digging through the trough of money, while the animals give everything they have in order to facilitate the lifestyle of the executives. That's what the modern workplace looks like to me. And it's not normal. It's an artificial environment that is designed not to cause creativity, but to suppress every part of the human soul. In fact, at the end of the day, when I come home, my soul is crushed to the point where I don't know how to feel. When I get home from work, there's a certain amount of time where I just feel numb. And when I feel numb, I want to consume Pearl beer. But between the Pearl beer and getting rid of the numbness, these videos exist. This is the space between Evil Corp and mind destroying Pearl beer happens. This is what I do to keep myself feeling like I matter, like I'm a human being still, not just some weird human like animal that's chained to a computer to make money for other people. Because obviously, I'm not making money for myself, not sufficient to be comfortable. I'm making sufficient money so that I can afford to eat, get more Pearl beer, and then go back because I need more Pearl beer and I need more bread. That's really what modern life looks like. Moving on to talking point number three. The modern work routine, with its strict schedules and expectation, clashes with our innate desire for freedom and autonomy. I absolutely agree with that statement. That strict schedule. When I look at the alarm clock at 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, you know what? I can actually sleep for another 4 hours because I don't have to be at work till 8. And if I roll out of bed at 8 and I just drive my Promobile at breakneck speed, I can be there without anyone noticing that I was missing for a few minutes. But that doesn't happen. 5 o'clock rolls around and I hear the other proles in my area, because our apartments are cells, right? They're not designed to for us to be comfortable in. They're just a holding cell where they keep you overnight so you don't come to work overstimulated. Is just a cell so you can hear the other proletariat moving around behind the walls And you know that as they move around, that's an indicator that you need to start thinking of moving around. So, despite how much I would much rather go to sleep, I can hear the proletariat waking up, which reminds me that it's time to work. So 5 o'clock rolls around, I close my eyes again, open my eyes again, and it's 5:40, and I think to myself, I still have time. 6 o'clock comes around, and it's like this automatic alert in your brain. It's time to work. And the strict schedule, it just punches you in the face. And the need for freedom and autonomy seeps right down your leg like the Hershey's, like right down your leg. And I've been in the bathroom a lot today. I don't know what they put in the food today that I had for lunch, but it's been coming out at I would say, the pace of a fire hose. And you just kind of have to roll with it, because if there's one thing we know about prol food, is it's not good for you. The proletariat's been fed hot dogs and bologna for so long that we've learned to adapt to a diet that includes all the worst possible foods at the highest prices. Prol food used to be affordable, and now we're going to the grocery store and suddenly bologna's $9 and hot dogs are now out of our price range. You're like, well, I used to be able to afford to eat something good. Now I'm going to Taco Bell and I'm spending a ridiculous amount of money like I did yesterday. I ordered a combo that included a bean burrito, supreme, I believe, and 3 tacos, something like that. And it was outrageous. It was almost $20. And guess what? Eating Taco Bell isn't good for the proletariat. It's not good to support Taco Bell, because even though in the future all restaurants are Taco Bell, your bowels will tell you that this isn't real food. It is a gut bomb to eat at Taco Bell, but we all know that. It's like going to our crap job. Our basic instincts in our head tell us that this isn't good for us, that we want to be free and autonomous, but at the same time, we need money. So, unlike the Smurfs, we don't live in a utopian society, so we have to go back to a place that doesn't treat us well. And every morning starts with a visit from our good old friend Fleece. And once Fleece is done with you, you might have better movements, but he reminds you that he's the one that's in charge every single morning, because every single morning at the corporation there's a neon sign over the front door that says it's going to be the hard way. Moving on to our final talking point. Our society often values conformity over creativity, stifling our natural urge for expression and leaving many people feeling like they're missing something essential in their lives. Every time I try to skip making a video after work, I feel this in my bones and in my tiny little junk. I mean, that's where I feel it the most, in my junk. Like there's something essential in our lives that's missing. I think it might be the pink taco. I think it might be comfort. I think it might be a decent place to live. It might be not having time to go to the doctor, but still paying for medical benefits that you can't use because your work looks down upon you for taking time to take care of yourself, because you're not supposed to take care of yourself. That's the great uh, a truth of our society, is that we're not supposed to be taking care of ourselves. Look how disgustingly broke the proletariat looks. This afternoon, when I stopped to buy my Pearl beer, I was standing in the line at the self check and I was just looking around at the proletariat. And boy, you guys, we look bad. We look terrible. And there's nothing we can do. Our work has us looking haggard. We always look tired. We never have enough money. We have sadistic prison guards that run Evil Corp. There's nothing about the proletariat that values creativity. In fact, the conformity. I was looking at the footwear of the most downtrodden of the proletariat. And Crocs, people, really? Crocs? You're going to wear Crocs to work? I mean, that tells you how either little money you have or overall you don't care what your physical appearance, because at some point every proletariat male gives up on their physical appearance, whether it's not taking care of your weight, not taking care of your hygiene, or just not giving a damn because who cares if I smell? That's what I've noticed about my Gen Z. Who cares if I smell? If I come to work smelling like dirty socks, but there's no one to smell me, then who cares, right? I had a Susie Rottencrotch last week tell me that, do you think that other people can smell me? And I thought to myself, oh my God, is she really asking me this question? It's like, I didn't take a shower, but do you think other people can smell me? If you can smell yourself, Susie, other people can smell you. We know what trout smells like. And that is what's emanating off of you with the little stink lines all around you. There's little stink lines around the proletariat. They're dirty, they're disgusting, and worst of all, they just don't care. At some point, the proletariat is just giving up with basic human care. I don't know. Because after the pandemic was over, we had a surge of personal hygiene products that returned to the market, because when we were all sitting at home, no one cared about wearing deodorant, brushing their teeth, getting their hair cut. We just de-evolved into the proletariat as the raw form of it. If nobody sees us, if nobody cares what we look like, if we're not actively looking for pink taco, then why brush your teeth? Why wash your face? Why care to change your socks? Because if you can tolerate your own flavor, like just like when you're sitting on the can and you're making your number two during the day, we have to learn to tolerate our own flavor. But once we go out into public, now we're forcing other people to tolerate our own flavor. And it's a tough sell. Anyhow, let's get into toxic positivity. I don't really know what to say in toxic positivity today, other than it is a crying shame that we, and this was actually the title of the video that ChatGPT came up, that we're still wild inside despite being domesticated by the system. Inside, we still have every need that every other animal on earth needs. And you guys know the need that I'm talking about. I may not have a power tool between my legs, but I know that that thing wasn't put there as a decoration. It's too small for that. Uh, so, again, wild but domesticated. Every need that every animal has, yet we can't get there. It's like why we need Viagra. You have the need, but you can't get there, so you take the blue pills, and then it ends up becoming a problem anyway. With that said, I don't want to go any further on this topic because, again, the algorithm is constantly putting me in its crosshairs, so I better not trigger it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, it's supposed to be fun. Dystopian entertainment isn't supposed to be glorious. It's supposed to be funny, entertaining, and give you a chance to look at our society through the lens of a person that gave up on life a long time ago.